The Honor Win RT is meant to be a performance monster, but the question is, with a battery this big, does it actually change how you use your phone on a daily basis? And in this review, we're going to tell you and answer that exact question. But first, let's talk about the unboxing experience. Pretty good, to be fair, because in the box, you get, of course, paperwork in here, screen protectors, obviously SIM ejector pin, and a clear plastic case. And beyond that, within the tray, you get the Win RT itself in this really nice pale pastel blue color. It's really nice. Underneath that though is super interesting. You of course get the USB A to C lead, but you also get a 100-watt charging. And speaking of charging, let's quickly talk about the sponsor of this section of the video today, and that is Silkland and their incredible USB-C Thunderbolt 5 cable, which actually supports charging speeds of up to 240 watts. But what does that actually mean in the real world terms? Well, the cable we're talking about here is significantly better built and more durable and rugged. This is what you get from, for example, in the box out of say an Apple iPhone cable or a Samsung cable. You could just see by this comparison here just how thick the actual braiding is on the Silkland cable versus the other two. But more so than that, this can actually achieve that top spec 100 watts speeds as the Honor Win RT has, or even up to 240 watts. But it's compatible with so much more. For example, you can charge your MacBook, your tablet, your phone, all with this exact same cable. But even better than that, if you wanted to transfer data and large amounts of data, such as 18 gigabytes out of this video file onto a portable hard drive, it will actually do that in under a minute. Yes, under a minute. And that is a quick look at the Silkland Thunderbolt 5 USB 4 USB-C cable, which can do that and so much more. And we didn't even mention the fact that you can even connect it to a 4K monitor, achieve multiple displays at over 4K and 5K as well. So this is an incredible bit of kit, which we'd highly recommend. So if you wanted to shop this, you can check out the link in description. And thank you for Silkland for sponsoring just this section of the video. The Win RT in terms of its design is as expected. You get flat edges all around the sides, and then if you flip to the other side, you get an AI button. Now, the advantage you have here is you can actually customize this for a number of features. For example, we've checked this at double clicking to open the camera, but it does have a ton of other AI features that Honor has created itself. Moving from the side to the actual rear is one of the talking points, and that lives within this plateau, and that's the dual lenses on the back of the Win RT. You get a 50 megapixel main sensor alongside a 12 megapixel ultra wide. Now, cameras are not the focus of this phone, but we wanted to cover them regardless. That main lens on the RT produces detailed photos and colors, which are all well balanced with a nice level of balanced sharpness as well. The images aren't overly saturated either, and then that retains a lot of the natural look and feel with slight bit of pop in color. The main lens is far better than I expected, and to be fair, the dynamic range is still very, very good. Video wise is very detailed again, and although not as crisp as the main lens here, the colors and details still deliver an overall nice feel to finish, and for sure they are very reusable, and 4K 60 is the max output in terms of the video. The ultra wide here may not have the highest pixel count at 12 megapixels, but overall does a good job. There is some softness on the edges, which is to be expected on a low pixel count sensor, but other than that, it's a good amount of detail and a fairly usable image. In terms of the front video, that is a 50 megapixel sensor, and images on here actually do look pretty good overall. However, there is a lot of skin smoothing happening here. Trust me, I do not look as smooth facially as these images tell you. And on top of that, you do get pretty good edge detection if you're taking a portrait image. To be fair, I think that was one of the key things that's surprising about the Honor Win RT's cameras are actually pretty good for such a cheap phone, especially when that's not its focus. And the final aspect of the design is probably the most interesting, and that again lives in the plateau, and that is this fan. Yes, a fan that will actually spin at over 25,000 RPM. So what it does, it pulls in air here and vents it out from the bottom just there, which is super interesting. And on top of that, it still has IP68, IP69K dust and water resistance as well, which is pretty sick. So you can actually pull this out of water, for example, or get it wet and still continue to use it as normal. But with a fan, you do get some cool options. If you use it in just smart mode, it will dictate itself the level of RPMs it wants to use. Or if you put it in manual mode, it will actually stay on. The Win RT doesn't get the flagship Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5, but it does get last year's flagship in a Snapdragon 8 Elite, and performance on here is as expected, very, very good. In fact, running this through 3D Mark's Lifestyle Extreme test on two aspects. So we had the fan on in smart mode, that gave you 68% stability overall, so some throttling, and starting temperatures of 29 degrees shot up to 45. If you have it with a fan in manual mode, so this is on at all times, the starting temperature was actually lower at 23 degrees, but still finished at 45 degrees. Another interesting component of the performance aspect of the Win RT is the custom chips that live within this phone that Honor has created itself. A C1 chip to help perform with overall connectivity experiences, and then an E1 chip to help with overall performance and performance management in general. Sticking with performance, we would then refer to Antutu benchmark performances, which again show a pretty great result. And then when you run it through their Vulkan GPU testing protocol, I guess, or API is the best way to describe it, you again get pretty great performances in terms of FPS. But when you're gaming on this phone, you do get a very, very great experience. In fact, you can actually push this up to 120 FPS on Call of Duty.
Enemy contact. We've taken the lead. Changing mag. Hardpoint contested. UAV recon standing by.
And Destiny Rising, and it all sounds incredible. And to top it off, the top and bottom firing speakers, which are stereo, also give you what I would say is pretty close to the best sound output you can get on any phone, right up there with the Poco F8 Ultra.
That servitor is protecting its minions. Take out that big purple eyeball first.
What's interesting actually is the before and after when it comes to gaming on this phone for long sessions on Call of Duty Mobile and Destiny Rising is the temperature increases were very, very small. And the reason we bring this up is because although you see throttling in those performance tests on 3D Mark and on Antutu where you get higher temperature degrees, it doesn't actually reflect in real world usage. So if you're a bit of a gamer on this phone, you're not going to notice those 45, 46, 47 degree temperatures, even at the top end and pushing at the 120 frames per second. And that brings us all very succinctly to one of the key drivers and attractions of this Win RT is that 10,000 mAh battery, which is Honor's own proprietary silicon carbon tech, which means it is designed specifically for their software, for their hardware, and for those two performance chips, which means using this daily, I mean literally multiple days, is a non-issue. We've got over 19 hours of actual usage time, including over 4 hours of screen on time of this video, and still looking at over 30% battery, which is absolutely insane. And we've not charged it since we've had this, which is pretty mental. On top of that, you will find that the actual phone itself doesn't weigh much more than something like an S25 Ultra when you have it in hand. But on top of that, it only weighs around about 230-ish grams. So it's not exactly the heaviest phone in the world. And even at the profile at the side, you can see this is not a chunky boy. Then there's the display. It's a 6.83-inch AMOLED with 185 Hz, and it's super crisp and punchy and eye-piercingly bright. But if you push it up to its peak brightness, which is 6000 nits, it doesn't dilute the image on the content that you're watching. It retains all the super punchy colors on the dark areas, still retain that black squiddy ink darkness. The other benefit you have here is if you use this at nighttime, it does drop all the way down to 1 nit of peak brightness, and you still benefit from all of Honor's eye care features like PWM dimming, which on this phone I believe is an industry top end at 5920 Hz, so that does more to stop strain on your eyes. So to answer the question at the start of this video, we said, did this Honor Win RT change the way you're going to use your phone on a daily basis? 100%. It's a complete game changer, because hypothetically, if you're someone who travels a lot or goes on a commute to work and you're concerned about your battery life, if you have this phone, you never have to worry ever again, because you could commute, watch TV shows all the way there, listen to music in the office, on your lunch break, come back and do the same, and you'll still have 40 to 50% battery life. In fact, if you left the house on a full day's usage at 75%, you'll still have plenty of battery left at the end of the day. So this Honor Win RT is a complete game changer in a number of ways, especially its battery. But we want you to let us know in the comment section below your thoughts on this new generation of 10,000 mAh batteries, which should in 2026 become close to the norm. Let us know in the comment section below, and be sure to like, comment and subscribe. Until the next one, as always, we out.